As Khalistani plot has intensified in the West, it's important to discuss how the Sikh community is being targeted. This comes after a series of incidents that have surfaced from the United Kingdom and Canada, where the patriotic Sikh community is claiming to get threats and calls and their properties also being vandalized. As we spoke to Harman Singh, a restaurateur who was attacked in London, we are now going to discuss how Sikh community is being targeted for voicing their struggles and opinions against Khalistani elements in India and, of course, abroad. Joining us on the show is Lieutenant General Kamaljeet Singh, former Commander, Western Army. Also joining us on the show is Colonel J.S. Sodhi, International Affairs expert. Surinder Singh Lali, Foreign Affairs expert, also joins us on the show to talk about this important matter. Mr. Lali, I'll begin with you. What do you think is happening over here? And in your opinion, is this a low-hanging fruit for these Khalistani elements? Because when it comes to, their actual concerns and their agendas, they know they are never going to be fulfilled. The dismemberment of India, or even the thought of, these secessionist thoughts that they keep having, are never going to fructify. Do you think it's their frustration which is being taken out on these benign and innocent civilians of these respective countries who are just living there to, to have a brighter future for themselves and their families?
Vinny, it's such a pleasure to be here, and you did use the word opinion, so now you'll have to bear me out. The entire might of the Mughal army failed against the value system which our gurus gave us. After 800 years of them ruling India, India is still an 80% Hindu Sikh country, while Iran and Turkey could be other examples. So I feel, yes, it's an act of frustration, because I think maybe our successful diplomacy has sort of tightened the screws, so they're finding more desperate means to make themselves heard. Because end of the day, a lot of these are, I don't think they understand Sikhism, because they have no right, they don't hold a brief for Sikhs, and especially the Sikhs all across the world. And I just heard Harman's interview too, and I'm going to sort of exceed my brief and make a statement on behalf of Kamaljeet Singh ji and Sodhi Saab, is that, Mr. Kapoor, we are with you. The entire rational, educated Sikh community across the world is with you. So be rest assured that you're not alone in this. While these individuals could be alone and absolutely lost in the process, but we are with them. I'll just tell you a small incident that I heard, which ought to explain how much these individuals are going to fail with whatever they're trying to do. Is that a small girl in a UP school was asked that what is the contribution of Sikhs in India, in Indian history, and she said, had it not been for the Sikhs, I would have been answering this question paper in Urdu. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Vineet.
Right, I appreciate what you're sharing and what you're saying as well. General Singh, we've spoken about this in the last few weeks as well. This is a moment to, in fact, reflect, by Indians who are living abroad and the Indians who are living in our country as well, that, this threat of Khalistan, as palpable as it may seem, it cannot shake the foundation of, the patriotism that the Indian diaspora feels, who continue to live in countries such as the United Kingdom and Canada as well. But the fact is that governments of these respective nations have not been able to rain down on these people or even take any preemptive or preventive or deterrent action for such things or such incidents to not transpire. How can India communicate, its anxiety as well as its concern that these people need to be protected?
Vineet, Jai Hind again, and good to be continuing our deliberations on the topic which is of grave importance to us. It concerns most of us. See, I fully endorse what the first panelist, Mr. Lali Singh, said. In this hour of crisis, we have to be with all those who are being targeted, because the game is not to allow the silent majority to articulate their views. Because see, it's like this. It's a typical situation where 90% and more is choosing to remain silent, and 10% has hijacked the agenda. And they've hijacked the agenda in a very sinister kind of a way. And they target people who have the courage to show conviction and, differ with them. So here is one man, Mr. Harman Singh, successful businessman, has made mark for himself in that society. Now these fringe elements seem to be targeting. This is what even that extortionist Ash Dalla was doing to Indian businessmen here. So entire music industry of Punjab pays extortion. Entire Punjabi music industry pays extortion to people based in Canada. That's how it works, unfortunately. So these people have created a fear psychosis. We need to, Indian government has taken good initiatives by getting hold of these people, but there has to be zero tolerance. It's not something which is like switching on an electric, connection that you switch and it will come on. No, it won't. It's a long haul. This process has to carry on. If required, we should step up our social media, our programs like what your channel is doing, and through our embassies, high commissions, we should continue to sensitize these people. We should organize more events in favor of those who are sensible, because they need to be given confidence and we have to hold their hand. And but it's a long haul. It's not something, Vineet, which will happen just by wishing. It requires serious effort. It requires sustained effort. So our diplomacy is capable of that. But if they need more sort of hands on the board, then they can. Public diplomacy is also an essential kind of adjunct to that diplomacy. So they can reach out and opinion makers can pitch in and we can all contribute to that cause. You are already doing it. You are anchoring a great effort. So Vineet, all in all, tough call, but it's a right call. And that is what our religion says, Sura so pehchaniye jo lade deen ke. Only that person will be called correct and just, who will fight for the right cause. And the right cause is stand up. Don't get scared.
Right.
Have to stand up for the cause.
Right. And Colonel Sodhi, you remember that incident that took place just a few days ago, where the Indian High Commissioner was prevented from entering a Gurdwara. Do you think that such incidents will also provoke the government to be more vigilant, or do you think that when it comes to their agenda and their cover up of free speech, a lot of this is going to be brushed under that carpet? Because the High Commissioner was not allowed to enter this particular Gurdwara, but our High Commission, the India House in London, has been vandalized, has been threatened, has seen a number of protests, and the UK government still did not do anything about it. General Singh spoke about more concerted effort. What do you think that should be at this point in time by the Indian High Commission in the United Kingdom and Canada, as well as the Indian government, and of course, last but not the least, the Indian diaspora in these respective countries?
Jai Hind, Vineet. It's my honor to be on a news channel and a privilege to be with the esteemed co-panelists. Till the time the last Khalistani is alive, the Sikhs will be targeted and tormented for speaking against Khalistan, because an overwhelming majority of Sikhs do not want Khalistan. And this example is evident in Canada, where out of 7.7 lakh Sikhs in Canada, only 100 turned up for the anti-India rally in Vancouver on 25th September and 200 in Toronto, which makes it just 0.038% of the 7.7 lakh Sikhs in Canada. But the fact is that these few handful have virtually hijacked the social media and they use it for their nefarious aims. Their aim is only to make money, and they are misusing the Sikh religion and the Gurdwaras for it. I myself, Vineet, have been trolled very badly on social media whenever I've written against Khalistan. I've got numerous hate messages. My message firstly to all these Sikhs is to remain united, to remain strong, so that we defeat the evil designs of these handful Khalistanis. Now, the second question, Vineet, is that regarding the Indian government. The Indian government is doing very well, but more hard steps have to be taken. For example, for years we had the information of these Khalistanis owning large properties in India, but action on them was only taken after Canada expelled our diplomat. Henceforth, we should be proactive. We saw Amritpal Singh came from Dubai to Punjab in last year, August. Till March this year, he had a free run. I mean, 8-9 months, anti-India person is having a free run on our soil. We have to introspect within. Any person who makes one speech against India, any person who talks once about breaking India, strong and stern action and swift action should be taken on him. And then only can we tell the foreign countries that, look, we are fast in taking action. Why are you slow? For years, these developed countries beneath have allowed their soil to be used by the Khalistani terrorists to wage a war against India. So it is time that the Indian government is doing well, of course, but we need to step up our pressure. We need one last point I would like to make. It is also very important for every Indian to remain calm. Few weeks back, I attended a public event, and there a young Sikh student came to me and said, "Sir, I have a question to ask you." I said, "Please ask." She said, "Sir, my classmates make fun of me. They call me a Khalistani because I'm a Sikh." I think this is not an order. We all are Indians. These Khalistanis are only a handful. If we ostracize the Sikh community, we will make India internally weak. And Vineet, a weakened internal India is a perfect platform for Pakistan and China to play merry hell. And this is quite evident of what is happening in Myanmar, which was called Burma earlier.
Mr. Lali, what do you make of the role of the diaspora when it comes to these threats? They're obviously staunch when it comes to their support for India, but the fact of the matter is they need to find motivation every now and then from the Indian government as well, which I believe is forthcoming in a number of ways and quarters.
Vineet, the entire diaspora is absolutely very strong, committed to the country, to the Republic of India. It's just that these fringe elements are a bit loud, and that's where they're able to sometimes get those headlines in. And let me tell you how misinformed and lost these individuals are, because I was hearing Harman's interview, and at one point Harman obviously felt very weak and vulnerable, and he said, "You know what? I've been dislodged from my home and I have a family and business to protect, so I think I'm going to go ahead and apologize to them." I mean, I got gooseflesh when I heard his wife say in that live video, and his 11-year-old daughter said, "No, we will not apologize. We will not bow down to these cowards." So this is the Sikh religion which these Johnnies haven't understood. I mean, it is part of that religion which they are probably misinformed, in which it is said, "Ki sokyo manda akhde jit jamme rajan." So women empowerment is what, one of the latest, youngest, fifth largest religion spoke about 500 years ago. So my humble request to these misinformed Johnnies would be that you don't become a Sikh by wearing a turban. In fact, you're creating more nuisance value for the likes of us, or for that child who, came to Colonel Sodi and, felt bad because he was being called with that K word. So they ought to Google and get to know what this religion is all about. So, and number two is, I think that, as Kamaljeet Singh ji said, that it's a slow process. I mean, we're doing fine, and it takes time because a lot of them are probably not even Indian citizens. I mean, as it is, we are being accused of one gentleman and his cleanup. I don't think we did it, but that's beyond my pay grade and brief to comment on. So I think the government is doing a great job, and it is because of the screws being tightened that, these Johnnies have resorted to such desperate acts of stopping, the Honorable Ambassador to go inside the Gurdwara, and then, picking up a weak, vulnerable target who's actually adding to the economic value of England. I mean, for us, and especially Sikhs and even Indians, we are one of the richest minorities wherever we go. I've traveled across the world. I've lived in the United States. I mean, we are not at all a burden on the system, but we create jobs, we create, employment, and we pay for taxes. So, I mean, the gentleman is very affluent. Not that him being affluent makes him a better individual, but that means he's doing the right thing, creating employment and flying the Sikhi flag high wherever he is. He's a restaurant or whatever he's doing. He's creating employment and paying taxes. So the diaspora, 99.9% are absolutely clear that on which side of the fence they stand. It is only these loud fringe elements, as you know, Colonel Sodi said. I mean, they're all involved in all sorts of nefarious activities. So for them, the K narrative is nothing else but, you know, sort of, for lack of a better expression, a D company which they run. You know, there are a lot of immigration frauds that they do. If you go to Punjab, you'll see they're charging up to 50 lakhs. I mean, and you know, they make people travel for 2 months in a damn container to get to Canada and America. So these are nothing but criminals, and I don't think there is anything called Khalistan because it's all notional up in the head. So I won't even, you know, give them the credit of even mentioning that word. So I think I'm going to resort to the K word now. Thank you.
You make a good point over there, and of course, resorting to the K word is obviously better than you know, falling for their trap. And General Singh,
can I be rude?
Yeah, sure.
I want to take, you know, Colonel Sodi's point forward. That, you know, a lot of videos do surface on social media, and of course people send me all sorts of email and hate mails too, but I don't care. I'm a son of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, and he gave us the identity of a turban when we were fighting the might of a vast Mughal empire. So he didn't give us a cheap escape to hide. Normally in any act of an uncomfortable situation, a gentleman tends to hide, but we cannot hide even if we want to, because we have 5 or 6 meters of sacrifices, of values on our head. So I take pride in that. And yes, the only thing which I would, through your prestigious channel, a very humbly request to everyone watching across the world is please do not forward their misinformation, their negative videos, because end of the day, you might end up becoming a tool in which, you know, they are trying to divide and polarize the society. So please don't share such videos. When I get them, I simply delete them. If somebody sends them to me, I said, you know what? Look at yourself, look at the contribution of Sikhs, go Google it, you'll find out. And if after that, if you don't make sense, then you are well within your right to forward the video. So please do not forward such videos, because we do not associate with the K word. We are very competent, we are very smart, we are very successful in India, in America, in Kenya, in Japan, in Germany. So we don't need any referendums from them, any certificate from them. They could go simply go take a walk in the park. We are very capable of defending ourselves. Thank you and Jai Hind.
All right, concluding thoughts. We'll start with the General Singh and conclude with the Colonel Sodi. Colonel Singh, paucity of time, 30 seconds to each one of you.
I'll only say this much, that sensible people are getting together. In Chandigarh, there was a meeting. A lot of intellectuals got together and gave a call, and even implored SGPC to take a call on such things and not allow people to hijack agenda like this. I hope this message multiplies, because people within India, if we start taking that call, it will definitely register with the theological bodies, and they would also put pressure on these fringe elements. So beneath, all in all, message seems to be getting percolated even within India.
All right, Colonel Sodi.
Vineet, more and more mainstream Indian media should take a cue from NewsX and your sister channel India News, who for weeks now have been highlighting how Canada and these developed countries have become a new epicenter of terrorism. My salute and respect to NewsX and to India News.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Of course, this debate is not only about an intellectual exchange, it is also about the support that the Indian diaspora is looking for in countries like the United Kingdom and Canada, of course.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.